Hello and welcome to another Overlord lore video, and today I think it would be a very nice idea to take a look at how much the players have influenced the new world and for how long they were even traveling to it. But before we're going to do so, let me thank my Patreons for supporting this channel, as well as all users of the YouTube thanks function who made one-time donations. Now with that said, let's start with some clarifications and terminology. A player is anyone, regardless of level or species, that played Yggdrasil online and that then was transported to the new world at some point. We currently have no indication that other players from other games, such as Aberrage, a mech fighting game, also arrived in the new world of Overlord. As for why players arrive, the lore does not provide an answer yet, but considering that the dragons refer to world-class items, the most powerful item in the entire game of Yggdrasil, as wild magic, it could be, and this is my working theory, that the Dragonlords tried to summon the world items from Yggdrasil online, failed to realize that it is, or rather was, a video game, and therefore their spell misfired. And then the players and everything else around world-class items appeared in the new world. And after that, the dragon's own magic, the so-called wild magic, or magic of the soul, became too twisted and polluted with tier magic, in order to send them back. So the world is now stuck with players, and their own magic system, tier magic, of which I already made an entire video, and you will find the link to it down in the description. And with that said, let's take a look at the earliest memory, or rather recording, of players in the history of the new world, 600 years ago. 6 players, who are now revered as the 6 great gods by the slain theocracy, arrived and protected the new world human population from otherwise certain extinction. They also brought the gift of tier magic to the humans, and even today, 600 years after their arrival, the slain theocracy is by far the most powerful human nation. In fact, the other human realms are so reliant on the existence of slain that if the theocracy would vanish overnight, for some reason, then the other human realms would soon fall to demi-human and heteromorph invasions. In fact, even today, the Dragon Kingdom struggles with this very thing, now that Ainz has taken out the Sunlight Scripture at the start of Season 1. Moving on to the next, and thus far most impactful appearance of players, because 100 years after the 6 great gods came to the new world, the 8 great kings arrived and killed the last remaining of the 6 players, Surshana, who quite ironically was the slain theocracy's own god of death. After that, Slain got just like the rest of the continent conquered by the 8 kings, after they had fought a truly apocalyptic war with the Dragonlords and came out on top. But not only the Dragonlords got decimated, many other powerful races and nations were also culled or annihilated because they too refused to bow their heads to the new overlords of the new world. Indeed, so much life and so many powerful species were lost or decimated that the average level of the average new worlder became greatly reduced, which together with an even greater spread of tier magic made it much easier for weak species, such as us, poor squishy humans, to survive. But the reign of the kings came to an end, and it wasn't, at least to our current knowledge, an outside foe who did that, but infighting who brought them down. The 8 great kings, and presumably much of their minions, destroyed themselves in a cataclysmic civil war that saw the end of their reign coming. Now, considering that Slain has not only a world item capable of mind control, but also a greater motive to sow discord and treason within the king's ranks, it could be that either Slain or the remaining Dragonlords orchestrated the king's downfall from the shadows. But this is, at least for now, pure speculation. And indeed, even in the web novel, the 7 male kings actually fought their civil war for the love and affection of the only female player. So yeah, cause of death, simping and lack of cold showers. After that, the world fell into disorder, and the theocracy had re-established itself as a nation, Presumably the people of Slain still believed in the 6 great gods and managed to hide away some godkins and thus could reunite quite easily. And godkins are from the same bloodline as players, so they are their offspring. And once they awake, they are extremely powerful beings, so much so that Shaltier judged the younger, weaker godkin to be stronger than Solution Epsilon, with whom she traveled with. And Zeshi is even stronger than her brother. So the godkins that we know of should at least be slightly above Pleiades level. Anyway, there were presumably other players, such as the Goblin King, the winged hero flying through the sky, the Dark Knight riding a 3-headed dragon, and the princess and her faithful servants in a castle. But the next date we have of another player appearance is just 300 years before Ainz Ooal Gown. So much has already been lost to history in regards to the appearance of the players. But indeed 300 years ago, Deep Darkness Dragonlord actually managed to not only kill a player, but also to take his world-class item for his own. And I made an entire video about him and how important he could actually become later in the story, and you will find a link to this video also in the description. Next in line, we arrive at the second and thus far busiest and most confusing century before Ainz, that saw the incursion of the so-called evil spirits or evil gods into the new world of Overlord. And they destroyed many nations and wrought great havoc to the rest of them. And they were only stopped by Platinum Dragonlord in disguise and many other powerful beings from the new world all uniting. These heroes came to be known as the 13 heroes, and according to the theocracy, of course everyone was human as well. But this is just propaganda. In truth they weren't, and they were much more numerous and led by one of the players that came to the new world also during that time period. And this player had in actuality slain another player that traveled with him. And this is also the second confirmed time that a player killed another player, something that might become relevant in the current storyline also. Additionally, we know from Evileye, who was a member of the so-called 13 heroes, and therefore a eyewitness, that the player that came to ultimately lead the 13 heroes was originally the weakest of all of them, but during the travel, he in actuality became the strongest member. And this is saying something, because Platinum's armor had been with them the entire time. But wait, there's more, because not only did 2 human players appear, and a bunch of unbidden monstrosities that might or might not have been led by a player or indeed were players themselves, but also this is the time where the legend of the Minotaur Sage begins, and he was apparently so strong that he could split an overcast sky open with just a single swing of his mighty axe. He was also the one who elevated the human livings in the Minotaur Kingdom from the status of food to the status of forced labor. And because he had a tendency to invent things, like fans of riches, without actually knowing how they would work or how one should build them, he became also known as the All-Talk Sage, or as the Minotaur Sage, by those in range of his weapons. And finally, 600 years after the 6 great gods, we have confirmation of one other player that has arrived. Ainz Ooal Gown himself, of course, who much like the 8 Great Kings, traveled with his entire guild base to the new world. And finally, according to the theocracy of Slain, roughly every 100 years, new players will arrive, and judging by the fact that we have at least 2 out of 6 centuries basically unaccounted for, we might be in for some extremely interesting surprises, especially in regards to the Elf King, who will be or rather one of the focus characters in the upcoming 15th and 16th light novel of Overlord, or in regards to the center of the continent. But for today, this is pretty much it. And I say thank you very much for watching, and special thanks to Bad Guy Ye, Ben C, Chrissy, Crowley0221, Sia, Dead Slime, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Devon Downen, Dystopia II, Enigmatic Unicorn, Feral Shivan, Guy with That Head, Hector Marino, Hoss, Huster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, Chromius, Legendarius, Lelouch Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Merovec, Mr. Shoes, Mr. Tweaker, Michael R, Michael Y, Normal Toad, Okill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pentum, Personage, Primus 11, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Staris, Ted, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss, Rock Ed Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Vegito27, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, and Zonegon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, and I hope to see you all again soon under my next video.